Okay, let's run.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it.
It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks!
What are you?
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to And I Quote, the weekly show where we introduce you to some of the best creators from all over the world, and we find out more about them by specifically taking your questions. I'm your host, Ryan of And I Quote channel, and our guest on this episode is someone who has been on a few times already, so this marks their third appearance. That's right, because these days, Sydney, you got to make a sequel, so this is a threequel, which means we've completed the trilogy thus far. Please welcome Batman himself, indie writer extraordinaire, and someone who is bringing private eyes back to the forefront of great indie writing. Please welcome Dr. Richard A. Olson is back. Hello, Richard. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, and thank you for the great segue.
Oh, you're quite welcome, and thank you who may be watching or listening to this right now for joining us. Do not forget to like and share this with all of your closest friends. And if you have any questions for Dr. Richard A. Olson, let us know in the comments, let us know in the chat. And if you're joining this live on a replay, thank you so much for doing so. With that piece of business behind us, Dr. Richard A. Olson, if you don't mind me asking, for someone who's new to this program and new to this channel, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do. Who are you?
Well, I'm not Batman.
It's okay.
I'm Dr. Batman. The kids call me Dr. Batman. My real life identity is I'm a chiropractor. I've done chiropractic for about 30 years and absolutely love it and love people, which has created a lot of worlds of experience and different stories. And growing up, I've been a very avid fan of film noir and 30s and 40s movies, old TV shows, and old pulp adventure books. So that kind of led me to creating a character called Nick Steele, private investigator. And he's in 1930s Peoria, Illinois, which is a whole story in itself. Peoria was a whiskey capital of the world, famous land for the infamous Shelton Gang, burlesque vaudeville, right in my backyard, just a natural. And to bring into the future, I created a Border Patrol agent named Scott Lunn. And the second Scott Lund book, South of the Border, has just come out in March, and I'm very excited to talk about that too. So that gives you a bit of my background.
Excellent stuff. And just a little bit of a fun fact. Some writers out there, we started there's a Discord out there. For those of you who are familiar with the Discord app on your cellular, mobile phones, smart devices, tablets, however you want to go about it, you can access it on your laptops too. Men's adventure fiction writers have come up with this idea, and they said, you know what, I think we're going to name the month of May Men's Adventure Fiction May. So we're going with it, and it's been fun thus far. We're about, 10 days in, and it's been stupendous. And you mentioned your latest one. So South of the Border, Scott Lund Border Agent number 2. So what is exactly happening with Scott Lund Border Agent book number 2 with this one?
Well, that's actually a fantastic question, and I wonder if I have to have a disclaimer or a plot spoiler. The back cover talks about a 1945 German submarine leaving at the end of World War II. It makes its way to the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. And boom, fast forward 90 years later, my story starts. So you could say, what have they done for 90 years? Hint, hint. This part of the story is wonderful is the President of the United States is abducted from his presidential yacht, which he just restored. So our hero Scott Lund is sent into Mexico with a band of fellow heroes and some really great agent characters that I thought. And they try to rescue the President of the United States. So that's kind of the outline of the story. There's a lot of backstory and a lot more of what's going into it, but I don't know how many plot spoilers we want right now, but we can always get into those later. Right, Ryan?
Yes, very true. Very true. Don't want to give too much away because we want to encourage our readers out there to go buy these.
That would be good.
Purchase copies of these books, which, by the way, cover looks phenomenal. Who designs the covers for these bad boys?
Well, I've been really blessed. I use Bold Venture Press, and Rich Harvey does my covers himself. He's the owner of Bold Venture Press.
Mm.
He did the first book, The Border Agent Strikes, which don't know if I sent you the cover to that. We might have it hidden somewhere or show it later.
Mm.
And he also does the Nick Steele covers, and he does them really great. There's some interior art, and the book's very attractive. The back has a nice cover and binding too, to tie it all together. So Rich Harvey is the answer of who does the covers.
Well, this cover for this new one is, I mean, phenomenal. My gosh, I mean, when I brought it up in the backstage area of the Discord for Men's Adventure Fiction, they went nuts. They thought, "Oh my gosh, who designed these covers? Because we need this cover artist like right now because of how epic and great they look. I mean, it's honestly like a poster we would hang up in our walls." So I did my due diligence, did some research, found out who it was, send them the link to boldventurepress.com, which you should check out because there's a lot of great writers and books on there. My gosh, and Bold Venture Press, they cover many different genres. Yes.
Yes, I inadvertently looked at my wall because I have my different books and covers on the wall.
Hmm.
And the Border Agent Strike might be a better cover. It's kind of like, two great steaks. That got me segue a little bit. Bold Venture Press is kind of unique in today's world. They're kind of the big small guys, so to speak, and they do a lot of reprints of men's adventure stories. And then they also do what I call the pulp genois. And they've added different Western stuff too. And then they throw in some new stuff and new characters, which is kind of fits with Nick Steele, since he's a 1930s Peoria private eye. Oh, you're so good. That cover is really great and really fun. And unless you're from Peoria, the castle in the back actually exists in Peoria Heights. This is fun too. The Illinois River. And in 1910, maybe, President Roosevelt was driving down this road. He called it WMBD, World's Most Beautiful Drive. And that castle sits there at the apex. So people drive down this road. And I've been blessed, too, that I fortunately met the owner of the castle, Dr. Soderstrom. And he's one of my readers. And the third story, Halloween story, takes place at that castle. And that's really fun. The car is called a blue Packard 8, 1936-38. And Dr. Soderstrom actually has that blue car, believe it or not, and dozens of old Bentleys and Mercedes and Rolls Royces. So I hope to put that into a screenplay. How's that for an exciting idea? Right here in Peoria, filming in the castle, use the cars.
It's extremely exciting. For sure. This book cover kind of reminds me of LA Confidential with Guy Pearce, and the blonde woman on this cover kind of reminds me of Kim Basinger's character.
I can see that. That's a good call.
Mm-hmm.
That was 1940s Los Angeles, and I am a big Philip Marlowe fan, which is the 1940s Los Angeles by Raymond Chandler. So some of my writing's a bit like Raymond Chandler with the descriptiveness. And then the other half's kind of like the brutality of Mike Hammer, to be honest. So you really don't want to make Nick Steele mad. That's not a good thing.
No, of course not. Otherwise, he may turn into a giant green monster. No, wait, that's a different property and a different character. Sorry.
Oh, that was so close.
I know. Yeah. But it was a good TV show back in the day with Ferrigno and Bixby. That was a good show.
It was a great show.
It really was. I finally got around to. I watched the first season a few years ago, and I got to say, I thought to myself, for a show that was made in the late 70s, early 80s, this holds up very well. So,
yep, the Incredible Hulk.
Well done, Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno. Well done, fellas. Although, as a little kid, if a 5-year-old's watching it, they're thinking, "Oh, this young guy, this Bill Bixby guy, turns into a Hulk." No, it's a different actor.
That would be true. CGI wasn't really around back then, was it?
No, this was practical effects back in the day. Yes, and some really good movies and TV series have some practical effects that work really well, and they still hold up 40 years later. So. Well done, fellas. Well done. But yeah, the Peoria Knights with Nick Steele looks fantastic. All these stories, all these characters look fantastic. Have you seen any? I'm trying to think of how to word this. Any, PI movies or TV series that you've gone back and rediscovered, or maybe something you never heard of before that you got a chance to get around seeing, or maybe just something that stood out to you in general in the movie or TV world.
Well, for those aficionados, Turner Movie Classics has filmed in or on Saturday night. usually around 11, 12, depending on your time zone. Eddie Muller is the host, and he is an encyclopedia. He even writes books on femme fatales, and North City's his best book about old movies. So that'd be a way for the modern person to plug into old movies. He picks a movie most Saturday nights. And kind of a weird small world. I was in Davenport, Iowa. I lived in the Quad Cities, and he was doing a book signing at Borders there. So I got to meet him years ago, got some signed copies, and now he's ultra famous, Turner Movie Classics with his gin and martini, showing all these wonderful shows. And there's almost just too many shows to mention, but there's also a Noir Alley Facebook group that would help clue you in. And these are almost all 40s movies. And the term back then was crime drama. The film noir term didn't come out to the 50s, believe it or not. So they took all the retro movies and said, now they're film noir movies. So all they had was the term crime drama back then. And there's still so many countless to mention. I don't know if I should even start on those, but they did influence you. And anything from a Bogart, Sam Spade, Maltese Falcon movie, to different characters to different actors that you probably don't really know, Richard Conte or different actors like that just do a spectacular job. So it would be something for the new person to tune into. It'd be Noir Alley.
Noir Alley. Okay. I'm gonna have to keep this in mind as I roll along, because that name doesn't. I mean, I've never heard that name before, but I'm learning something new every day in my life.
Good for you.
Well, I mean, I try to anyway.
That's a good idea.
I know, even though May the 4th just happened, so there's do or do not, because there is no try, according to Master Yoda.
Exactly.
I know, right? And it's funny because Empire Strikes Back turns 45 this month, which is insane. I know we're getting way too young for this. It's insane. But aside from that, you brought up some of the earlier stuff, and this cover right here, the Border Agent Strikes. Oh my gosh, what an insane good-looking cover this is.
Yeah, that was my very first novel, and believe it or not, it came to me in a dream one Saturday night. I mean, like a specific dream. I even had the character's name when I woke up, Scott 1. I was like, oh. So I started writing notes on paper for a week or two, trying to recreate, the dream. And this is really weird. It's a fantastic story. The hero is out on mission with his best friend type agent, and he gets killed before his eyes. So he goes on vacation to unwind and escape. And he ends up rescuing a black child and becomes friends with the family. And they keep inviting him to go to the super mega church, which he doesn't the first half, but the second half he does. And there's about a 200-page battle. So the dream was mostly the battle. So I wrote the book backwards. I wrote the second half first, and then I figured out, here's 15 chapters how I can get there. So I kind of created 15 chapters, which ended up being just delightful with the character metamorphosis and the relationships or not with a blonde, a brunette, a redhead, whatever. So it ended up being just a wonderful book to write with a lot of character progressiveness, which I'll probably never get to do again. And he develops into a true leader, and maybe he saves the President of the United States. Wait, the President of the United States is in the second book. I think he saved him in the first book then.
Not to give too much away, but
Oops.
no, but it's a great cover. I mean, honestly, when I look at this cover, I see the soldier standing next to the woman. I see Daniel Craig there in that image.
Yes,
I'm getting mad Daniel Craig vibes from this guy, and then the woman, I'm getting some, a little bit of Kate Beckinsale, maybe,
I can see that.
I'm trying to think of some other actresses that have long hair. So there's, Kate Beckinsale's, there's Liv Tyler's, there's, gosh almighty. I mean, Emily Van Camp. I'm not. Well, Emily Van Camp's a blonde, but she could dye her hair brown. But still, I don't know. Maybe if we're kicking it back to old school actresses, maybe Jaclyn Smith.
Yeah, she's a lady he meets during the fight in the second half named Mary. He finds her hiding in a closet, but I thought you got to have a female for the end, and if it ever does come a movie, then the other guy is the evil Colonel Tong, and he's bad. My comment is a hero's only as good as his bad guy. So if you have a really bad guy, then you have to have a great hero. And so I speak some Chinese. So Tong is actually Chinese for the word pain. So he's basically Colonel Payne, and he likes to inflict it. There's currently a 5-part saga of the Scotland series. The third book's mostly written, and he might appear in more than one book too. You just never know, right? But no plot spoilers, right?
No, of course not. Of course not. No, got to keep the certain cards need to be kept close to the vest, folks.
Yeah, the Joker can't die in the first book either, right?
Right. Right. Yes. Yes. Certainly for sure. But yeah, no. These covers are amazing. The stories sound great. The premises are incredible, and just I mean, judging the book by the cover, I mean, these are things I would. I mean, this is something that if it were made into a poster, hypothetically, we could put these on our walls for sure. And they definitely got that pulp, noir, crime, PI, adventure, high adventure, going overseas, globe trotting, secret agent, military fiction kind of deal. So fits a lot of, it covers a lot of bases, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, thank you. To revert back to the South of the Border book,
Mm-hmm.
not giveaways, but I was influenced heavily by Doc Savage growing up, the Man of Bronze.
Mm-hmm.
And so he kind of is like the Man of Bronze. He has that sandy, light brown hair. He's super tan. He's super strong. He works out every day, which Doc Savage did. Doc Savage had this 2-hour regiment where he'd work out mentally and physically at the same time. So Scotland does these daily workouts. And there's some heavy Doc Savage influence and some pulp noir, especially in the jungle, because, in the jungle, what can you fight? You could fight a jaguar, you could fight an anaconda, so there's all these wonderful toys and tropes for these writers to deal with here. And then the end kind of gets a little bit of a James Bond flavor. There could be volcanoes, like I said, secret empires and races. And what I love about James Bond movies is sometimes everything blows up. You just never know what's going to happen at the end of a James Bond movie. So he's still a border agent with some great cohorts, I guess would be a good word. But throw in some Doc Savage and throw in some jungle and then throw in some James Bond excitement at the end, and you got quite a thriller going.
I would venture to say so. And once again, we are here with the guest of honor, Dr. Richard A. Olson, on this episode of And I Quote. Don't forget to like and share this with all of your friends. If you have any questions, let us know in those comments. If you're joining this live on a replay, thank you so much for doing so. You brought up the man who has... But let me remind you, 007, that you have a license to kill, not to break the traffic laws. I wouldn't think of it. Good. Sorry, that's from my favorite Bond film, Goldeneye, that turns the big 3-0 later this year in the month of November of 2025. We are excited to celebrate that one on Movie Watch Along on this very channel that you are watching and listening to right now. So just out of curiosity, what are some of your favorite Bond films, or who's your favorite Bond?
Well, Bond's part of my life too, and this is a little backwards, but the first Bond movies are all rated R, and they weren't pirate movies. R. So if I was 10 or 12, I couldn't go to them, but they'd actually came out a little bit later, like Sunday night movies. Back then they used to do like movies of the week and stuff, and they would be censored a little bit. But I can remember having popcorn with my dad watching James Bond movies on Sunday nights, a few years retro. From Russia with Love, I think would have to be one of the very best early ones with Sean Connery. And Roger Moore had some. I think he did the most movies, maybe 7 or 8. A View to Kill would be the worst one. That's kind of at the end. But oh boy, what is the one? I actually have a blank. Live and Let Die was his first one, and oh boy, you might need to help me out, Ryan.
Well, then after that, it was Moonraker. Then there was The Spy Who Loved Me.
Spy Who Loved Me. That's the one I was trying to think of with Barbara Bach. And Jaws.
Who could
That's
forget
probably
Jaws?
Roger Moore's best one. And Pierce has actually, the other actors all had some really great ones. And sometimes you appreciate one later, like Daniel Craig, like Casino Royale. The first time I saw and 5 years later, I rewatched, like, wow, this is really a great movie. His very first kill, and all kinds of, the bluffing and the gambling scenes and the baccarat. So I enjoyed that movie so much more a few years later. So that's 3 or 4 highlights, and they still don't know who's going to be the next James Bond. Come on, guys, 2 years have gone by, right?
Yeah, it's been a minute since with the behind the scenes creative difficulties, Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson passed all the creative control over to Amazon Studios, so it's all on them now. They got to make a choice on who's going to be the new Bond, who's going to direct it, what's the title going to be, what's the plot going to be. So they got a lot of decisions that need to be made here at some point or another. Wake up, Amazon! Come on.
That's money, every year they wait, that's money they're not making too, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's that, but they also have a lot of hit television series on right now, whether it's Reacher or, The Boys, a few of the other ones out there. So they're still making coin. They're not loose for change, or losing any change, if you know what I'm
Yeah, we
saying.
won't worry about that, will we?
No, I don't. Well, for them, I don't think they will. But no, I get it. And Pierce was my Bond, so I grew up watching the Pierce Brosnan movies. I've seen all the Daniel Craigs. I guess for me, one of my favorites is obviously Casino Royale. That's definitely one of my favorites. GoldenEye is probably still my personal favorite because that's what got me into James Bond to begin with. So I got to give Pierce Brosnan a lot of credit there. Got to give him credit. And it's funny, though, because the same guy rebooted James Bond twice between Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig's run, and that would be Martin Campbell. He directed both GoldenEye and Casino Royale.
Excellent.
I know. Well done, Martin Campbell. We love you, brother. One of the Bonds I think is underrated is Timothy Dalton. His run is very underrated.
I enjoyed both of them, actually.
Mm-hmm.
They're good, solid movies. I'm surprised they're just whoosh. Like you said, nobody rates them. But every time I watch one, maybe every year or two, I don't watch them all the time for fear of remembering them too well. But I guess I'm going to break out Timothy Dalton one for summer. There you go. I'll break one out.
All good. Yeah, we actually did watch-alongs for both his Bond films, which in this case is The Living Daylights and License to Kill. You can watch, once again, although all our movie watch-alongs are available for you who may be watching and listening to this right now on the Movie Nerds playlist on our YouTube channel. So feel free to check those out. We've done a lot of Bond watch-alongs over the years, and obviously we're going to continue that tradition with GoldenEye being in the month of, I think we're doing it in late November, early December, if I remember correctly, according to our schedule for 2025. So stay tuned. We'll talk more about James Bond towards the end of the year.
The martinis are shaken, not stirred.
That's right. Yep.
Does the average viewer know why they say that?
Good question. Why is that?
Well, allegedly the gin could be bruised by stirring. That's the original legend. You would bruise the alcohol because they put different stuff than gin and vodka, some type of flower type products and stuff. But they would bruise the gin, so that's why they're shaken, not stirred. So
I was not aware of that.
Yeah, I guess I've known that for 30 years.
Well,
I need a martini tomorrow night for Mother's Day. Now we're talking.
There you go. Whatever.
Make my wife happy. James Bond. Oh, there you go. James Bond for Mother's Day with a martini.
There you go. So I take it with the ones that you mentioned earlier. I take it, is that your favorite Bond theme song as well as From Russia with Love? Yeah, when it comes to the music.
Yeah, that'd have to be top 2 or 3. I once saw something online and it had like the top 20 theme songs of James Bond from 1 to 20. And a few were surprising. But there's a lot of great music, James Bond. And James Bond actually had, records that would come out, or DVD or CD or whatever. I don't know if they really still do that when a movie comes out, James Bond, if they still do a musical soundtrack for that or not. One of the Roger Craigs had a soundtrack I own, so I have some of the original soundtracks. Moonraker is a great song. I'm sorry. Moonraker's good too. Dr. No.
Yep. That's the original right there.
Yeah, in fact, I just saw an article on that. Goldfinger. There you go. That's
Shirley Bassey. Yeah.
Bassey, yeah.
Who could forget that soulful voice? Exactly. Yeah, we can't. I can't do a good impression of her voice, nor am I even going to try. But yeah, Shirley Bassey's a legend. She's done a few Bond theme songs in her past. So well done, Shirley.
Oh yeah, she's phenomenal.
Give her credit. Yeah.
Sheena, was it Sheena Eden? She did one of the Roger Moore movies. Just have to get all these people out there to Google this stuff and ask you questions, right?
It's okay. I haven't seen all the Roger Moore era Bond films. The only one I've seen of his tenure was Live and Let Die. So
that's a good one. The Spy Who Loves Me is gotta be one of the top 3.
A lot of people have said The Spy Who Loved Me is his best film in his run. So I just haven't seen it yet. Sorry. I guess I
Oh
got some
boy!
homework.
All right, you're gonna have to watch that one. That's
Yeah.
phenomenal.
The Spy Who Loved Me. Yeah, a lot of people say that's his best one of his 7-film run. So I got to sit down and watch that gosh darn thing. It's gonna happen, folks. It will happen. But yeah, no, Bond's been around for so many ages. So the question becomes, what does the future hold for the man with a license to kill? We'll find out at some point or another. You know what they say, folks. Time will most certainly tell for that. Now, a few times you've been on the show, you mentioned that your family also dives into writing. So have your family put out anything new, any new books, any new stories that have been published from their end?
Well, that's kind of a good bad story. The Scotland has a brother and sister-in-law,
Mm-hmm.
and I did this on purpose. And they have 2 kids, Zach and Zoe. And I sat down at the table with my family one night. What are they going to do? Well, Stephen, the brother, is a forest ranger, and the mother or wife, Lori, is an exotic animal veterinarian. Love that word, exotic animal veterinarian. And they created Zach and Zoe. You know, one's a 15-ish, and he does motocross and martial arts, and then the younger girl does martial arts and dance. And my son wrote out an outline for a story for Zach and Zoe, and they get to try to rescue the governor of California, Mystery in the Woods. And then, of course, my daughter has to write a story too. Don't Fall In. And the mother and daughter fly down to Mexico with their collie, and there's quicksand and sinkholes and tropical storms and even a puppy. Of course, it's by a girl. So those 2 are actually completed, and I'm thinking about publishing them independently, believe it or not, right at this moment. And the reason the bad thing is I had a horrible, horrible car accident in January, which I almost died. So jokingly, we had the stories done in November. I thought I'd wait till Chris is over and publish them in January. The accident was absolutely horrible. Somebody had a heart attack and hit me at highway speeds in the country, and I was life flighted to hospital and spent 39 days in the hospital. But I'm here and I'm writing and I'm learning to walk again. And I got to praise the Lord for giving me more time to write. So a couple people are like, well, you need to write a book about what happened to you. So there's another outline started. So I plan on getting the Zach and Zoe stories out possibly as soon as next month. I wanted to make the school year since they're teen adventures, but they are completed and they shall be going out pretty soon. So maybe I might get invited for a 4th appearance. You just never know, right?
Yes, absolutely. More than happy to have you.
Not been a boring year. Not been a boring year at all.
No, but we'd be more than happy to have you back, and all of our guests who've been on our show in the past. You're more than welcome to come back and talk with us anytime here at Anti-Quote Studios for sure about any projects you have coming up, stuff you have out right now. Maybe you have a Kickstarter that's going to be coming up here pretty soon, or maybe it's progressing as we speak. So hey, they're all welcome here, and yes, most certainly, Dr. Richard A. Olson, you yourself are more than welcome to come back here anytime you wish. And congratulations on those upcoming stories from your family members. Look forward to hearing about those and perhaps even reading them. So more stuff to look forward to in this year of 2025. Something we've never asked you before. What is your writing process like? How does it start for you? Does it start with an outline? Does it start with an idea? Do you start jotting down some notes and then you start writing it? How does it work?
Well, I've read a couple of screenplay books. So I kind of do a log line, and I get an idea for a story, and I see if the story could be told in 3 to 5 sentences to explain what happens. And then I kind of mull that over. And then I start an outline, like you said, and I'll put in characters, some main events, and then I do a chapter outline. I'll write down 30 chapters, there's 30 word documents, and each chapter might have 3, 5, 7 statements of what's going to happen in the chapter. And the end has to be done and everything has to make sense. I'm really big on things making sense. When I write something that doesn't make sense. And then I start writing like chapter at a time. So my comment is, how do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. So if you write 1-2 pages a day, that's 700 pages a year, right? So I'm very formula. I'm not what they call a pantser. I have to have everything make sense, be very logical. And of course, sometimes the chapters change a little or I come up with a little better idea, but I have the end in sight, so to speak. So it'll be 30 chapters and then it is 30 chapters all created and written out. So I'm very, very organized on the writing, which helps keep my sanity. And then I have a lot of fun writing. So thanks for asking.
Oh, no worries, man. No worries. Happy to ask that question because you've been here a few times over, but we haven't had a chance to really ask you what is the writing process for you like, because it's different for everybody. It's different for every single writer that's ever put words on paper, or in a lot of cases, a computer screen. So
It's all on computer. Yeah, it's all, all digital nowadays.
yeah, we're not using typewriters here, guys. This isn't the 1980s, or the early 1990s for that matter.
Of the 1930s.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. I remember my family had a typewriter back in the day when I was growing up, back in the mid 90s. I was like, oh my gosh. And then this one typewriter we had in our family that it actually had the ability to erase stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is going to happen?
Those came out. Yeah.
Yeah, what was we all thought to ourselves, what's going to happen next? These typewriters can erase stuff? You got to be kidding me. It's fascinating. Blew our minds as we were growing up in suburbia in the 90s.
Well, it's actually amazing, the Word documents and the software you use and how easy you can delete something, correct something, go back, cut and paste. I'll take my chapter outline, I'll cut and paste the outline into the chapter I'm writing at the bottom. So you kind of write down to the outline of the chapter, then erase the documents as you create them, so to speak. And you got to think of what these guys did in the 30s, and they made a wrong letter, a wrong word. They would type XXX over the word to, show that it was incorrect. So we are spoiled rotten in today's world with the computers that we use and the abilities we have for writing. I think it's such a huge blessing to do that and have those advantages. And I feel sorry for the old guys pounding out. Back in the 30s, it was like a penny a word. And a penny might have been worth $1, in our world, but a penny world, and they just typed it out these books, with no computer, no software. It's just amazing how well they could do that.
It really is. My goodness gracious. In the words of our friendly neighborhood PSAs, the more you know. Exactly.
I'm just going to say nothing.
Right. Or something like that. Yeah. For sure. But if someone out there is interested and they have this idea that they're piecing together or wanting to put on paper, put on a computer screen, they want to publish it, for someone who wants to be an indie writer or a writer in general, what advice would you give them?
Well, that's a great question, and that's about as many opinions as the weather. I mean, there's different platforms like Lulu and stuff where you can write and publish and create. My question really is, what do you want to put out? And if it's quality, it's good to have an editor. Now you can pay for editor and self-publish, but I don't think you just want to write what you think you write and just send it on out there. So it should be edited and polished up is my advice. So what you have is really quality material for independent. And there's so many companies that will help you, and you can do this or pay them or minimal pay. So the main thing is put out good quality stuff and get somebody to edit. And if you got to pay for that, you pay for that.
There you go. Very good pieces of advice. Simple to the point. No beating around the bush.
Not too much.
No beating around the bush, as one might say.
Mark of the Z for Zorro.
No, yes. Yeah. Swashbuckling. Love bringing up those kinds of stories. I mean, friends and I have been talking about this for a while now, and the movie turned 25 a few years ago, but The Mask of Zorro is one of our all-time favorite movies. I mean, that's in my top. I probably put that movie in my top 20 of all time.
I remember you saying that. That's why I did that.
Exactly. I freaking love that movie, and there's so many great reasons to love it. I mean, and once again, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier with Martin Campbell being the director of not one, but two James Bond films that rebooted / reintroduced this character to the world, with Pierce Brosnan's Case of Goldeneye, Daniel Craig's Case of Casino Royale, and he also just happened to direct The Mask of Zorro, Martin Campbell. So
what a resume.
I know, right? Everything comes full circle with this director known as Martin Campbell, and all the great characters that he's, reintroduced to the world, rebooted, however you want to go about it, however you want to phrase it, So, yeah. Zorro.
Well, that's a great maybe ending topic. Boventure Press currently has the rights to Zorro, so they do new Zorro stories, and they were coming out with a new Zorro story last year, and the editor kind of hint at, you know, the editor submitted a story. Mine was called Outfoxed by a Woman. There's 15 stories in there. So Zorro's still alive. In fact, Amazon Prime has a Zorro modern series set in the Canary Islands of Spain. So Zorro is still alive and Zorro's still kicking. And Zorro was created in 1919 right here in Illinois, a little town called Chillicothe, which is only 20 minutes from me. So another milestone to have in your backyard is Zorro. So Zorro's a great topic, and the character is just never going to go away.
Of course not. Why would he? You know, I never thought that one day I would be in the lair of the fox, the lair of Zorro. Sorry. Line from the movie, I can't help myself. Antonio Banderas, Anthony Hopkins, and the very beautiful, still to this day, almost 30 years later, Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Muy preciosa. That's beautiful in Spanish.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah, of course I speak Spanish.
I was wondering where you were going with this. I'm thinking to myself, what do these words mean exactly? Come on, translate, folks. But no, it's been very, very good to me. Zorro, very, very good to me. And yeah, the anthology you guys put out, fantastic. Congratulations on that. Wonderful stuff. More stuff to come, I'm sure. Boldventure Press isn't going anywhere anytime soon. So if someone wants to know more about Dr. Richard A. Olson and the publisher over there at Boldventure Press, where can they follow you on social media?
Well, you have to do kind of different levels. Facebook's always a good one, especially for a certain age range. So it's Dr. Richard A. Olson space author, and that's on Facebook. In fact, I have 3 Facebook pages. Instagram's always going to be there too. The Scott Lund books, the Border Agent books, are actually on Smashmouth, and that's a really fun format. That's a neat format. It's digital. It's fun to look at, fun to read. So that's a different way too. So that's probably the main ones. I mean, there's so many medias nowadays, and of course, being a wonderful podcast with Ryan, there's your marketing right there too, right? You got to be in those big guys, right? So it's Dr. Richard Olson with Amazon, and like I said, he had author, and you can do Facebook, and I'm sure you can find me on Instagram the same way. So just got to get out there and get known. And one of the best things is to do shows, meet and greet, and discuss history, and let people, the new and modern readers, discover things on their own too that wouldn't look you up online, so to speak.
Very true, good sir. Well, Dr. Richard A. Olson, thank you so much for being with us. I'm going to talk to you here again momentarily, so stay with us, stay tuned. Okay. More to come. Feel free to grab some food and drinks in the backstage for our non-existent physical studio. Hey, we're doing our best. It's the weekend. We're trying to have fun around here. Zorro's coming. My name is Ryan of And I Quote Channel. Follow me across all forms of social media, simply at And I Quote Channel. Lots of great things are coming your way very soon. Movie watch-alongs, as we mentioned before. And I Quote is on Saturdays, 12 p.m. EST, and then sometimes we do more than one episode of And I Quote, which we did this weekend with indie writers JC Alba and the one and only Dr. Richard A. Olson. You're the man. As many others. So a lot of more guests are coming your way for 2025. And listen, if you're an indie writer, indie publisher, or you're a creator of some kind, and you're in the indie circuit, you want to get your name out there, you want to get more eyes and ears on your projects, well, you're more than welcome to be a guest on a future episode of And I Quote. Just check the links out in the description below. Check out that link tree. There's a Calendly link. We got spots open from the beginning of June all the way into 2026. So the field is wide open. We got more than plenty of space for you, or maybe there's 2 of you or 3 of you that work together to put something magnificent together. We want to hear about it. We want to know about it. So reach out to us. Send me a message on social media. Links are down below in the description of this video, and all forms of social media, simply at And I Quote Channel, as I mentioned before. Also, we're on the road to 5,000. Once we hit 5,000, we'll have a live stream, and we're going to have special giveaways that you, the person who is watching or listening to this episode, is going to be eligible to win, because everybody's a winner here, right, folks? We also have merch. We have hoodies, we have t-shirts, we have coffee mugs, we have stationery, a couple throw pillows, maybe some bed sheets, towels, all kinds of wonderful things in our Redbubble store. Link is in the link tree, link that's located in the description below, and also it's in the link in our social media bio. So check those out as well, I should say. Gee willikers. As we pointed out earlier, it is Men's Adventure Fiction May, so if you're looking for men's adventure fiction, not just Dr. Richard A. Olson's books, which links for those are located in the description below this video too. We have our good friend Luke Goodich. He's got a book out called Fire in the Tall Grass. That's an adventure one that's out right now on Amazon. You can find it there. Also, we got Marina Grant and the Lost Tomb of Golgotha, written by a good friend of ours by the name of Brina Williamson. which you can also find on Amazon. So those are some of the other books that are out there. We talked about J.C. Alba earlier. He's got a couple of books called Legend of Yashimida's Treasure. Oh my gosh, there's a Legend of Yashimida's Treasure. What is going on here? Well, it's a Raider novel, and you got to check out the book to find out more. I'm not going to give away any spoilers because that's not fair to you, the readers out there. So definitely check those out and support those who support you, right? Because it's teamwork that truly does make the dream work. And thank you for watching and listening to this episode of And I Quote, whether you've been with us from the beginning or you're just joining us. Thank you. It's going to be one heck of a ride. Stick around. We got more coming. Once again, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, ring the bell to be notified when the videos go up or they go live. And remember, life is better when supporting other indie creators out there in the world. Take a look.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasmafire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasmafire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
Strelin of Ulia is a cursed man, and cursed men are dangerous. He has traveled the known world seeking a way to lift his curse. So far, he has not found what he is looking for. When Trellin arrives in the city of Anshi, in the nation of Paraba, he meets a cold reception. The desert nation is unforgiving. Its people have proven untrustworthy, and the locals have no love for foreigners. Now, a wealthy stranger offers to lift Trellin's curse for a price, and he must make a choice. Seek a solution elsewhere, or risk imprisonment in the Tower of Ruhak, a place from whence no man has ever escaped. The known world of Atera, the prisoner of Ruhak Tower. Now available on Amazon in paperback and on Kindle.
Good morning! Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.